Alrighty. All right. I call this regular meeting of the Park Board of Commissioners, agenda order of business, Wednesday, March 6, 2024. This meeting will be held in the council hearing room beginning at 5:30 p.m. Citizen input must have been submitted by email to the Park Board at fallrivermass.gov by noon 3/6/24. Meeting will be available for viewing at fallrivergovernmenttv.fredtv.us and channel 18. Pursuant to the open meeting law, any person may make an audio or video recording of this public meeting or may transmit this meeting through any medium. Attendees are therefore advised that such recordings or transmissions are being made, whether perceived or unperceived, by those present and are deemed acknowledgeable and permissible. Craig Salvador from Fred TV, government channel, is here doing recording and videoing. Have a roll call of commissioners, please.
B.J. McDonald.
Helen Riga.
Joseph De Silva, Commissioner Burns, and Commissioner Farias are both absent today. We do have a quorum. There's three of us here. Is there any citizen input mailed in or emailed in? No. And no one's here to speak? Okay.
Make a motion to accept the minutes from the last meeting.
Second.
February 7th meeting of regular Park Board meeting. So Commissioner McDonald made that motion for accept the minutes. Second by Commissioner Rigo. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Commissioner.
Can I make a motion to take item F first? Because we have Mr. Kurt here, so let's take that one first if we could.
I have a motion to take item F out of order.
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Rigo. The motion was made by Commissioner McDonald, seconded by Commissioner Rigo. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, let me get to my packet. Item F, request from the annual Cocuco Square, Wreath Lane event, South Main Street and Hamlet Street on May 5th at 1 p.m.
Motion to accept.
This is an annual event, so,
Yes.
motion to accept by Commissioner Rigo. Do I have a second?
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner McDonald. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
You're all set. Thank you. And Ms. Smith, whatever you need, she'll be in touch with you. Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Do I have a motion to go back into order?
Yep. Motion to go back to regular meeting.
Second.
Commissioner Rigo made that motion, seconded by Commissioner McDonald. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Item A is a request from Michelle Hamilton, the Michelle Hamilton, who's the VSO officer. She is, this is for the Vietnam Wreath Laying event to be held at Veterans Memorial / Bicentennial Park, Duval Street, on Thursday, March 28 at 1 p.m. I believe this is an annual event as well.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Commissioner McDonald made that motion, seconded by Commissioner Rigo. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Item B is a request from Michelle Hamilton, the Veterans Officer, Vietnam Veterans Radio event to be held at Veterans Memorial / Bicentennial Park, Duval Street, on Thursday, June 13th, from 7 to 8 p.m.
Motion to approve.
The only thing is, Nancy, they're good with electricity. You're good. They can get
They
that
will-
down there.
They will have to check with the gentleman from here, who normally lines up all of that, but I'll let Michelle know
That's Mr.
that
LaVoy.
any type of,
Okay.
like the custodial services that line up the electricity, there is some electricity there, so they're gonna have to figure out what they need.
If they need a
and-
generator or something
Yeah,
or
that,
whatever.
we'll give them permission that they can go there, but whatever electrical services they need will have to be worked out with the custodial staff here or with, DCM or whoever, but It's not something that we would absolutely be able to provide. That's something that they would know.
Okay.
But I will let, Michelle Hamilton know that.
All right, so do
Second.
I have a
Alan's
motion?
Motion.
Motion by Commissioner, did you make that motion first?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Commissioner Rego made that motion, seconded by Commissioner McDonald. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Item C is a request from Michelle Hamilton, the Veterans Officer, Vietnam Veterans Rolling Thunder Candlelight Event to be held at Veterans Memorial / Bicentennial Park, Duval Street, Saturday, May 25th, and end their protest run at the Wall on Sunday, May 26th at 2 p.m. I believe this is an annual event as well.
Motion to approve.
Motion to approve by Commissioner Rego, seconded by
Second.
Commissioner McDonald. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Item D is a request from Corey Bento, the use of Davis Park on March 23rd to conduct an Easter egg hunt from 1 to 3.
I guess we had Davis Park in here a few months ago. There's parking is an issue up there. I don't know if there's a better spot for them to have
That's
it.
the one on Riverine Street?
Yep.
Yeah. I just don't know if we should tell them to go to North Park or
This is on North.
something
this
like
is
that.
on Mid-
Do you,
this is
did
on-
they say why they wanted Davis Park?
I think that because they've gone there, this is the second time they've gone. The first time, I guess they did not request permission. They weren't aware that they had to do that.
They did it last year. This
So
is
they
their
did it
second
last
one,
year.
so.
Because didn't we kind of say we weren't going to permit out Davis Park?
That's right.
So maybe we should just,
Well, I think that was like for leagues, like to use, I guess, but this is entirely up to the board. If they would prefer he use another location, we can ask.
I think is, they had this event there last year without our knowledge. I think we give it a trial run to see how it run. If there's a problem, then next year we know
okay.
there's no issue. Unless it becomes an issue and there's, you know,
It does sound like something that fits the mold of
Yeah.
what should be going
Yeah.
on at Davis
Yeah.
Park, so I don't want to,
Well, I hope
but
it's
I also
not
know
opening
the,
up a can of worms.
yep.
yeah, I
Well,
just
mean,
know
what
that the
you-
parking is
What the board is
really,
saying right here is, this is a pilot, so to
pilot
speak. We'll
program.
give you an opportunity to prove that something can be held there. I don't know how much can, I mean, it's an Easter egg hunt, it's not like a concert or
right.
whatever.
My
so-
only concern was the parking. I
Yeah.
know there's, that was one of
That
the
definitely
concerns
is
of
an
the,
issue.
Well-
citizens that came here,
Well,
so.
that's the thing. It's gonna be, if they're gonna have to park down the street, if they're gonna be parking on people's lawns or anything, then we're gonna hear about it.
Yeah.
So, well, we'll give them the benefit of doubt, see what happens, and then if there's an issue, then,
I mean, as
We go
long as
from
they
there.
follow all the policies and procedures
Mhm.
of the board, I don't know that we can
Yep.
actually, we can suggest it, and I can still suggest it to the gentleman, listen, the board is more than welcome to let you use another location that may be more accommodating to you as far as parking or whatever, but please know that you need to have somebody there keep in order, because if there is an issue, this will never happen again.
Yep.
I mean,
Yeah.
I guess that's,
I guess maybe
a fair
that,
way
maybe
to-
if you want to give Nancy that leeway
Yep.
to
yep,
have the conversation with them, and if they really want to
Exactly.
do it at Davis Park,
yep.
fine,
it's a
but
trial type of thing.
we kind of already, know that there's potential for issues there, so
Yeah.
Maybe
if they
we
want to go to,
Maybe we should suggest maybe they have police presence?
yeah, but they're not, they're
Is it
gonna have to
the
pay, they're
parking?
paying for this
Yeah,
stuff
they're
out of
paying for
pocket, I don't
everything
know if they're gonna
themselves.
pay for a.
So,
Yep.
I think maybe
that-
that's what we should do, is just say, we're okay, but here are our concerns, just don't, do something to irritate the
Don't
neighbors.
Don't abuse it.
Right,
right,
They
and if you
actually,
think that you can't control it, maybe we just suggest they go to North Park or something, cause I don't think there's a lot going on.
They
no, they
over
could
there
go to the
anyway.
top of North,
They
there's a big
actually,
open space
Right.
there, it's kind
they
of the
actually
same.
reached out to the mayor's office, and the specials, events coordinator actually had him contact Nancy to come through the park board.
Okay.
So, the mayor's office is well aware of this, and so.
So I'm fine with,
Yep.
that's
So-
just my 2 cents, is they can,
Yep.
I guess the motion that I would make for the for the record would be, I'm okay to approve it, but maybe suggest the top of North Park as an alternative place that
Yeah.
can accommodate a little bit better.
Yep.
But if there's a sentimental or, reason that they wanna be at Davis Park,
Yep.
then,
And
go
they're to
for it.
follow all normal permit procedures.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like insurance and stuff.
Yeah.
Yep.
I would,
Yeah, I would
I
say.
don't think that, I think that I think it would be a good idea. You don't wanna not have them follow something that
Right,
Yep.
everyone else
everyone else
follows.
is doing. Then I think we open ourselves up to a situation. As long as we're saying, this is how you get a permit, this is how it's handled. I think the board is,
Right,
And,
just, following their regulations for any other park, so.
whatever playground they decide on, I would suggest either we get some barrels up there, or they need to provide trash bags or something to pick up any trash, because I've done Easter egg hunts before, and when the kids open up the eggs and everything else, it's all over the place, and then it's gonna be our guys that's going to clean that mess afterwards.
Make suggestions, they
So-
clean up.
Exactly, they gotta clean up after themselves.
Okay, well, they are responsible, I can put in the permit,
Yep.
permits usually do say you are responsible for cleanup, so.
Yep,
Because,
they are responsible for the cleanup.
all right, so that's, I guess my long-winded motion would be approve them to, go to Davis Park following the, permit
all proper
protocols. But
procedures, yeah.
if they have,
But
If it-
suggest an alternative location.
suggest
if
maybe
they-
the top of North Park as a better location for parking and everything else.
What's that, the Little League field?
It could be the Little League field, it
Oh.
could be all along Highland
Yeah.
Avenue
Or right at
too.
the
There's a
top
big
on- yeah.
area there.
It's kind of similar to Davis Park. It's all big open, there's some trees.
I mean,
Yeah.
in all honesty, they could use the baseball field at the bottom of North Park. That's a
Well,
huge
that's what
open
well, I'm
space
figuring
down the
because
bottom behind,
you-
And there's
where
plenty of
Morton is.
parking on President Ave and through the Snake Hill and,
Snake Hill, and then you also have the parking lot they can use on
Right.
Hood Street that walks over.
I did reach out to him, just to see where he stood before, this meeting, but he didn't get back to me, so.
okay.
Okay.
But I can certainly suggest that to him and let him decide what he thinks he can manage.
Okay, so Commissioner McDonald made that motion,
And I'll second it.
seconded, and I know Mrs. Smith has everything that we said, so I don't have to mention the whole motion. All right. All in favor, say aye, please.
I,
Okay. Item E is a request from Espirito Santo School for the use of Father Tavassos Park, Alden Street, on May 10th from 8 a.m. to 2:30 p.m. for the school's Fun Run event. I believe this is an annual event, correct?
Yeah,
I'm not sure if it's an annual event, no.
Yeah, it's a booster fundraiser called Fun Run. I know my son's school is doing this too, so I thought this was the field day. I apologize.
but there's no conflict that day during that time, right? 'Cause
No.
there's nobody that's still, so.
No.
During the day,
And,
on Friday.
I believe Mrs. Smith reached out to the principal there, Mr.
Proposal.
Raposo, I apologize, geez, sorry. And the school has liability and everything.
He's looking into that.
He's looking into the liability and everything, so.
All right, motion to approve pending, the necessary
Permit.
documents for the
Yep.
permit.
Yep.
second.
Okay, motion to approve was Commissioner McDonald, seconded by Commissioner Rego. All in favor, say aye.
Aye. We did,
Request, item G. This is a request from Mobile Adventures proposed schedule of activities at various parks. There's the schedule on, going from May 8th, the 15th, 25th, 30th, June 8th, June 13th, June 20th, and June 29th. It's 3:30 to 5:30 at different dates, and then the Saturday days, the Wednesdays and Thursdays are 3:30 to 5:30, and the Saturdays are 1 to 3. This is from the trustees of reservation. It's at Mobile Adventures. They did this last year at a few parks. They
Yeah,
talked
so
about
that,
the
it says that they
nature.
got rained out last year,
They
so
did.
I
Yeah.
just, I guess my only thing is if they have rain dates that they want to have us approve, you know, or kind of give you the leeway, Nancy, to let them reschedule if they needed to. If it's raining on the Wednesday and they want to do it on the Thursday, you know, well, I don't want to be a roadblock. I don't
Yep.
think the board should be a roadblock for that. So I don't know if they have other events or whatever, but
Usually they will, they do have different days that they're, so they won't do it right away the next day.
Yep.
On the ones that they canceled, they just never
They just
rescheduled
canceled.
them, yeah.
All right.
Because I think they probably make up a calendar
Yep.
for the summer.
right.
So if they miss that one day here, they're somewhere else the
Then-
next day.
right.
But, I mean, if the board wants to say, you know, rain days, you know.
I just wouldn't
can be
want them to
approved,
say,
right,
you know,
through-
like, if they need to reschedule it,
Yeah.
where, I mean, I'm gonna make a motion to approve it, and if they need to change it for the
They
weather,
can go
they
through
should
me
be able to.
without, coming
Yeah.
back to the board to
Correct.
reschedule a rain day, okay?
So,
Motion
Second.
to approve by Commissioner Rego, all in, excuse me, Commissioner McDonald, seconded, all in favor, say aye.
aye.
Item H is a request from Rexel Energy Solutions hosting a cleanup event on 4/22/24. Do we
Where
know?
we gonna clean up?
Yeah, give me 1 second. It's,
No, they didn't ask, so, just
oh,
so
okay,
you know,
okay.
I reached out to them.
they're
I
on,
told them that the mayor normally has an annual cleanup sometimes around Earth Day, if they wanted to participate in that, or if they wanted to do something completely on their own. They are located down toward the Duval Street area, so again, the suggestion would have been either in Bicentennial or North. And I spoke with her. We will talk more once we know when the DCM has that tool trailer available, because a lot of times that goes out, and it's actually on a Monday, so it shouldn't be a problem for the tool trailer to go there on a Monday, because everybody will be working.
it's actually, on, the Commonwealth Landing Building, so.
I think,
Just if you said.
the United Way usually sponsors Earth Day too, so
Mhm.
I'm all for the cleanup, but I just don't know if it's better
That
to
right there,
Yeah,
and
well, I
I
said-
believe,
I did suggest a couple of, you know, I said, probably by that time, a few organizations cleanup will pop up, and you can either determine whether you
Yeah.
definitely wanna do a standalone, or you wanna, you know, piggyback one of these other organizations. So, I'm in contact with the individual, is it Molly?
Molly.
Mhm.
Yeah. I'm in contact with her.
Molly
And
Megan,
when it gets.
Molly Hogan, sorry.
When it gets a little bit closer, she'll reach out and.
So I would just leave it up to her then if she
Yep.
wants to. If she wants to do her own, I'll make a motion to approve
Yep,
it. but if
one
not-
thing too is, just saying because it's Earth Day, Mr. Martins is here from Tree Department. I know you and Mr. Pirano used to do something, is that Arbor Day or Earth Day? Arbor Day, okay. Thank you.
So make a motion to approve.
I'll second that.
Commissioner McDonald made that motion to approve, seconded by Commissioner Rego, and Mrs. Smith will work with this individual about planning this. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Item I is a request from Durfee, the use of North Park President Avenue for the JV baseball games. Repairs to the field will be solicited and paid by the school department.
I just have one question is, we had talked about the other project that I don't know if is getting off the ground over there with the tiered seating. I have no issue with them playing. I just want to make sure that if that is going anywhere, that was part of the question that I had, was just make sure we don't permit this out if we also have contractors going in to do work. I don't know how far out that project is,
Yeah,
and
I
this is
would,
coming
I
up
would
soon.
venture to say that by June first, none of that would be started, especially if bids are not
Yeah.
out now.
Okay,
I would say that you're safe till that June first date to do this.
so I'd make a motion to approve that.
Second.
Hey, excuse me, motion to approve was by Commissioner McDonald, seconded by Commissioner Rego. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
You can always let them know that if there's, you know, construction.
Because they're probably gonna be there a lot, right? I would imagine a couple times a week anyways.
Yeah, they're
Yeah.
usually there most days after the.
And I think
Because
we're,
they practice there too, right?
Mhm.
So they're there every day, at least for practice, and then,
I
and
think, yeah.
I think it's going to be later on in the thing, but I think we're supposed to be getting our answers on them projects by April.
All right, that was just one of the reasons I asked that question.
Yeah.
Yep. No problem.
We
All
can
right.
always let them know what may happen, but I think we'll be safe.
Item J is a request from Diamond for the use of bicentennial tennis courts, Duval Street, from March through June, and for the use of Lafayette Park Baseball Field, County Street, on April 15, 2024, for a George Sneaker McDonald baseball game with Durfee High School. And Diamond has provided their schedule here with us. Boys tennis.
They've been doing, they did this last year too.
They
No
used
issue,
last
so
year,
it's
yep.
just,
Motion
What
to
they do is
approve.
during the week, they leave one court open, but when they have matches, they can take all 4 courts.
And then you don't need an extra, I don't know, I'm just thinking like trash barrels or anything like that down there all set?
No.
Okay, motion to approve.
Yep. Mrs. Smith will work with Mr. Bailey, the athletic director.
Oh, and I guess the only other question I had was related to the park Lafayette. So the school department's gonna get North Park up to snuff to play. Lafayette is handled by, so I just,
Well, that's one game, my understanding, and I did reach out to Mr. Bailey because
Yep.
I was curious as to whether his baseball team was gonna play there. My understanding is there was a monument that was, it's being constructed
Yep.
for, to replace what was there. There was only a sign on the backstop for Sneaker McDonald. And there was a group that raised funds, they came before the board, and this monument is now, almost ready. And I think this April 15th date, I'm almost sure it's Patriots' Day. And they're going to have the dedication of this monument and this baseball game between Durfee and Diamond as kind of a tribute to Sneaker McDonald. So the park department will get that field ready for that particular event. And then after that, it probably,
cause there's no leagues that permit it out anymore, right? So I just,
not right now, no.
Not
I
right
don't know,
now.
maybe we could ask Mr. Bailey if they have some help with that, if you needed help to.
Yeah, I don't know that they, I think that one I'm on my own.
Yeah.
Alright, when they're back to back like that and it's like,
Normally, I'll
alright,
be honest
Durfee's
with
gonna,
you, the first, other than Durfee, because Durfee, the reason Durfee comes in and does that is because Durfee needs that done every day. And we had said, we cannot be there every day to line, to prep, to whatever
Right.
that feels. So our guys, our union guys said, okay, we'll let that happen. They can come, the school department guys can come onto park property. We won't grieve it, we won't whatever, because technically it's not something that we're
Can't handle
even
it anyways.
capable of
Yep.
doing,
Got it.
exactly. So with this one here, like with Maplewood and that, we help them and the initial kickoff of their seasons with the fields, with the, the weeding of it, with the
right,
putting in the materials, whatever. After that, the leagues do maintain it. So we would normally have done this Lafayette Park initially anyway. And there is a men's league that they use Lafayette and Chew, but they don't use Lafayette as often, and I haven't really heard from their permit yet, so I don't know if they're taking Lafayette again. But if they do, then the men's league kinda takes that on. If
Okay.
not, we just every so often just kinda run the tractors over them, so.
well,
they
it's a little
feel safe.
different to maintain like just a grass field versus a baseball diamond, so
Yeah.
that was just,
And
Yeah,
the
no,
other,
we should be good.
and the other thing too is I did reach out to, when he was only requesting this, I reached out to Mr. Bailey to make sure that if they were gonna be utilizing Lafayette for either girls softball or baseball for their team. And he had told me that they have a contract with Swansea Y for 2 years for them games and that, so they're doing all their stuff. It's just this one Memorial game.
right, which I think the game's great, I just wanted to make sure, if you're gonna
Yeah.
promote the game and have people come
Yeah.
down there, let's make sure the park looks okay,
Yeah.
and, Nancy has the guys to
No,
Yep.
we'll
handle
have
it.
to, we'll have to have all hands on deck over there that week.
Yep.
To make sure it's
Okay.
ready to roll.
All right, do I have a
Make a
motion?
motion to approve.
Commissioner McDonald made that motion, seconded by Commissioner Rego. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Item K is a request, a tree lifting sidewalk on Bay and Queen Street. Can I have Mr. Martins come up from the tree department, please? I know I had Mr. Martins go by and observe this tree, and he'll give us our report.
So normally, the discussion we had about the sidewalk there
Yep.
is somebody from DCM will go there, inspect the sidewalk. If they can repair the sidewalk around the tree without disturbing the tree, that's how we usually do it.
Yep.
The tree that's there is kind of a nuisance type of tree that's growing there, so if it needs to be removed for them to repair it, it's not an issue at this point. Cause it's not, like a nice shade tree.
Yep.
It's something that can be removed if they need it to be removed to repair the sidewalk.
Is it similar to the ones on Lawrence Street?
No.
It's not half as
No,
bad.
no.
If you look at the picture right here.
Yeah, I
In
know,
the-
yeah.
Yeah,
just,
the sidewalks heaved maybe an inch between the panels.
Yeah.
But like I said, normally DCM will go out there and do an inspection on the sidewalk and see.
But it's dangerous.
Correct.
It's dangerous.
So one way or another, we'll fix it. I guess we'll fix the
We'll
sidewalk.
fix it
but
in their
the
recommendations.
question is, will the tree remain or not? And I guess
Yep.
we can wait and see what DCM says. I
Yeah.
can.
Right, usually that's how we play it out is, if the tree is an issue to repair it, then we'll
Yeah.
go ahead and,
So I guess how this
Proceed.
board can vote so that it doesn't have to come back is if DCM determines that the tree needs to be removed for the sidewalk to be repaired, then this board has no problem with the tree being removed.
Yep.
If the tree can be saved and the sidewalk repaired, then that's, so rather than have it come back,
Yep.
it can be based on the decision of
Yeah.
if the
Decent,
sidewalk
I
is
would-
repaired with the tree there.
If you guys don't mind, Mr. Martin, I know he's went to school and everything to be that tree warden and everything, to be the expert there to make that decision. If he's saying it's a nuisance tree and everything like that, it's like a weed pretty much that kind of grew back and that, I would say is, let's take it down, fix the sidewalk when they have the time to do it, and we don't plant nothing back there. So we're not there, we've planted in the last couple of years, over 500 trees. I don't think that one tree is gonna matter.
I'm okay with that too. I mean, if, I'll leave it up to you guys how what the
okay.
path of least resistance is to get it done.
Right, I'll work that out with DCM once they're going to go there and
Yep.
do the repair. We'll work together with them to get it taken
Yeah, because if
care of.
it's a nuisance tree, are we just gonna have to have this conversation next year because it's gonna, like, should we just take it down now?
Right, it's,
Yep.
at the end of the day,
All right,
Make a motion.
make a motion that Mr. Martins will work with DCM and determine what they want to do with this in the future. Do I have a
Second.
second? Commissioner Rego made that motion, seconded by Commissioner McDonald. All in favor, say aye.
All right,
Thank you, Mr. Martin.
thank you.
All right. Item L, we have a few things that go along with this. It's event permits received so far for the 2024 season. So we have received,
So just so that you know, the
Yep.
first one here, I received a phone call from this lady from the community,
Yep.
the Redemption Church. And what she said was, in her investigation, she's seen that there's a lot of people having these block parties. So they want to change this request, I just told her to submit a new one, to a church service outside, and she wants to have it in July. So this request is no longer a viable request, just so you know, they're withdrawing that request.
okay,
The next request is the individuals from Juneteenth. The next one was the mayor requesting the 4th of July
celebration.
celebration. And then the other is the Kennedy Park block party that is an annual event in August. So right now, those are the ones, I just wanted the board to see them, we accept them and place them on file for now till we can organize and see who fits into what slot, rather than,
Yeah, and they're
award
far
these.
enough out
They're
that,
far enough out, it seems to me the earliest one you got here is Juneteenth.
Yep.
when we
So-
can probably just approve the 4th of July though, right? I mean, that's.
Well, the only thing is, I didn't put, when you put these on the agenda, you normally have to put Fourth of July event, Duval Street, such and such a
Yeah.
time,
Okay.
and I didn't do that yet. So what I will do for the next meeting is make a list so that we can approve the list in total. And by then, we should have most of the requests for annual, the larger events, these
Yep.
are the larger events that would take
Right.
the park all day.
Right,
And this was also for event permits and, well, events and that, but we also did give like leagues and everybody else till the 15th, so that will give her some time.
right, yeah, cause
So-
you've got Amber's here too.
Yep.
Mhm.
Yep.
So these would just be to just accept them and place them on file
Place on the
until we
file.
act.
Make a motion to accept and place on file?
Do I have a second?
Second.
Commissioner McDonald made that motion, seconded by Commissioner Rego. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right, item M is policies and procedures of the park, for park projects. You guys do we want to go over this?
So I asked Nancy to pull this from years ago.
Yep.
Just, my only thought process was there seems to be some projects that are outstanding. There's a couple that come to mind that we've discussed.
Yep.
Kind of ad nauseum, and just try to just come up with a plan so that we know what's going on. We know that things are on track to be done within the timeline that we think they're being done. And basically that's kind of what this was in the past.
Yep.
And I don't know, Nancy, if this ever actually was adopted by the park department, but I think that I asked her to add this to the agenda.
Yep.
Just so that the board has kind of, a roadmap for once a project comes up, what it looks like from the time it's originally discussed till the time it's done, to provide just a little accountability both to the board and to whoever is, working on the project to get it done. Just like I said, so we know what's happening. It's not there to create extra roadblocks or extra red tape or things like that. I speak for myself, but I wouldn't even expect, anyone to come down to the meetings all the time. Just give us, one line, hey, we got a proposal, or we're still waiting to hear from the architect, or whatever, and that's kind of the quarterly type updates that I put in there, just so that we know, what's happening.
So,
The only thing that I would tweak, because I'm looking at this here, is originally this board had 7 members, so it said park board chairman, along with 3 additional board members per park regulation, which would have been a quorum of the board. Those 4 would have been a quorum of the 7. So this would be the park board members with 2 additional signatures, which would now be the quorum.
The quorum.
So that's the only thing that I saw in these that, really had to be changed because it wasn't relevant anymore.
Yep.
But other than that, I mean, it's pretty straightforward.
If we-
Everybody's on the same page.
if we don't mind, let's go over each bullet, and if Mr. Smith can read off each bullet so the public knows what we're talking about, that this is on camera.
Okay, so basically, it's procedures of a proposed idea or project is presented to the board at a public meeting. If the project is acceptable to the board, permission is granted for specs and drawings to be put together. It says here, I believe specs and drawings are now required to be done by an architect, which we have had in the past. Project specifications and drawings are provided to the board prior to or at the same time of bid packages being made available to prospective bidders. So the board is aware of what's going out. If it's ahead of time, if you want it prior to, then It could
I don't
be-
even think it has to be prior to, because these projects drag on long enough, so
Okay.
I don't think that we need
So
to
it's
see
either
it.
or.
It's
so-
one or the other,
Okay.
and we
So
shouldn't,
that's how it reads.
I don't think as the board, we should, create any additional roadblocks.
that's how
That's
it
not the
reads.
point of this.
Yeah,
Yep.
so then it says plans and specs given to purchasing departments, so bid package can be put together. Bid package with this information should be provided to the board when available for bidders to pick up to allow ample notice for individuals to attend bid opening. After bid opening, bids are reviewed for required bid tabulation chart to be prepared and presented to the board at a public meeting for award. And that's what normally Mr. Rodney from Stock Architect does. He presents that. So none of this is any different. Award letter to be sent by board to purchasing departments so contracts can be prepared. Park Board Chairman, 2 additional board members sign the contracts and return to purchasing. And it lists contracts are usually signed by contractor, purchasing agent, city administrator. It lists the individuals that sign it. Once contract is signed by all parties, a copy should be returned to the park department and work may commence. So this is just, these were in place in 2018. I don't think anything has changed. This says, once project is awarded, regardless of funding source, including CDA, project should be placed in, no, I think it's Cheryl's.
No, it's that lady's.
Oh. Nope. Project should be placed in an account that the park board has control over so that the board can regulate the approval of any payments for work performed. That also lets this board know when payments are being made for individual portions of the work.
This is all happening now, though, right?
For the most part, I think some departments are not following it to a T. I think because they go, oh, well, we didn't know that was how it was supposed to be.
Right.
So exactly the reason why we're resurfacing these, I would distribute these to CDA, I would distribute these to CPC. CPC has their own rules that also come into play, where they have members go out and see these contracts, and see these sites and how much work is being done, and they sign off on payments. So each funding source has their own regulations as well. But this just says department overseeing the construction of the project should send a request for payment with invoices to the park board for approval of payment, work performs and date to date and the release of funds. So basically it's what you're saying, kind of this is what's been done and we're looking to pay them for this much work. At minimum, it says bi-monthly, you can change that to quarterly.
I think quarterly is,
Yeah, I think
Adequate.
so too, so that can be changed.
and I think maybe it doesn't even have to be, I don't know if it needs to be written, but
It doesn't
they're not
say,
expecting people to come to a meeting every quarter.
no,
you
it
know,
could be a short
Just a couple
paragraph.
sentences, this
what
is
we
where
used
we're
to-
at.
When we used to have community development funding, we used to have to provide them years back with monthly reports. This is what, and I mean, we had a lot of money and a lot of things going on then. So with this being one project, it wasn't a big deal, but each month you'd have to say, this is what happened, this is what we done, bids went out, blah, 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 that's all you wanna know. So quarterly reports, I think, are good because it would be, the specs went out, specs are being prepared, so you know that
Right.
that's gonna take the 3 months. By the time the architect puts that all together, that's gonna take you 3 months. And then, bids were awarded. Bid was awarded to such and such. Work shall commence on such and such a date. I think it just keeps everybody, like you said, in the loop, knowing if you
Just want to
get
know what's
asked a
going on when you
question,
get asked a
yes.
question, what's
So I
happening with
think,
different
the
things.
quarterly updates, they can be something that they submit to the board. And then it just says, no contract shall be paid in full without a walkthrough either by the park director or the park board members for an inspection of the work being performed. The retainage fee will require a vote of the board to close out the project, which will then tell the board the project is closed out. So I think they're reasonable. Do I think they're really stringent rules? No, I think it's just a matter of, like you said, keeping the board in the loop of
And
a
there
park
are a
project.
bunch of projects now that are outstanding, so there may be a time where there aren't as many projects outstanding. But with the ARPA funds and the different projects that we've been able to approve and start, you just wanna make sure that they get done.
Well, you have the projects that you have now, and if they do want us to continue to, you know, apply for these funds and apply for these grants, they're just gonna continue like a Rolodex to
Yep.
keep on coming.
Right.
So you wanna make sure the front ones are moving and the back ones are coming in.
Yeah,
You-
and it's
you
just transparency. We, yeah, we're volunteers and everything, but we have to answer to the public just like everybody else. When the public's asking us, we approve, for instance, the ball field lights at Father Kelly.
That's the next one, right? Just,
I have probably about 50 ball players there coming up to me, why are you guys holding this up? Why is this, why that? They're getting different answers from different people. So when we have to give answers, we need our answers.
right.
What's going on in that. So that's all we're trying to do is making sure everything's done. The quarterly, I agree with that. The only thing I would say is, and I believe it says there, is when the actual project's coming to be presented to us, that's when we need someone here. The architect, what the specs are, everything else, this is when we need someone here. Is actually when stuff is like what a proposed, what they want to do and everything. But
Right.
just to give us an update and everything, I think that the quarterly is fine.
And that's a good example, because of the ball field, because we're getting there, I think, next, right? So I guess the motion would be just to have Nancy, distribute that, you know, approve these policies and procedures for,
Yep.
I would say probably the ongoing park projects and then moving forward. So maybe for the next meeting, we can get an update on the projects that are outstanding. And then we can start, you know, moving forward when there's a new project at the beginning.
Motion to approve.
Motion to approve by Commissioner McDonald, Commissioner Rego,
Second.
seconded by Commissioner McDonald. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
you.
So, did we go into that, was that part of item
Item M.
N, correct?
M.
Oh, M, okay.
And
Because I
then,
think.
yeah, so
Oh, I'm
I did
sorry.
kind of
It kinda
loop those
mixed
in,
two.
but
Oh, I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
item N, you can, I'll let you read that, but that was,
Yeah,
Yep.
so item M is to accept these policies and procedures and distribute them to departments that may have involvement with
with the park projects.
Park projects, cemetery projects, greens, anything that's under our.
Anything
Well,
under the park board's
under-
jurisdiction.
Exactly.
Okay, so I'm gonna, with the board accepted them, and we're gonna distribute.
And that's even,
I'll give it to Rodney as well.
I would even say future proposals like walking trails, anything, proposed stuff, linear parks, anything.
Well, that's anything under your
Yeah,
jurisdiction.
okay.
Yeah. Okay, so that
All
was,
right.
I have the motion in a second, thank you.
Item N is a request update regarding park projects to the, to be presented and discussed at the April meeting.
So
This is-
that, they kind of go together, I kind of mentioned it. Mr. Olvera was here, I think, back in December. There were a handful of projects that are in the works. I would just like to see what's happened, you know, and
Yep.
how far they've moved since we last talked to him, and I think it was December.
And just so it's not anything where he has to personally come here.
No.
He can send in a document that says, this project, this is what's been done, this is where we stand,
Right.
this is what's proposed by
Right,
whatever.
we
So
expect it
just
to be done by such and such a date, you know. I just, as we're getting to the warmer weather, the ball field being, you know, an example, the guys want to use the field, the kids want to get on the field under the lights, like, are those, that particular project, are they gonna have new lights? So you
Well,
could
I
ask
can-
the question.
I can, actually, I mean, if you want to wait till the April meeting, I may have more information by then. But last week, I did go to the architect's office, and we did what you call a page turn of the electrical engineer's findings. So he, after that, met with the lighting company. They were gonna be putting together the spec package. From what Rodney said, the specifications may be available by the end of the month, because sometime this week, the boring company, the company that was gonna do those test borings, was
Mhm.
going out this week. This or next, I know there's a lot of rain this week, so that may kind of tweak the schedule. So
Mhm.
I would think by next week, the borings would be done. However, I want this board to have a realistic timeline, because the bids go out, there is a 12-week lead time on these lights. So the chances that these lights are going to be available for May, when we're
Pretty
in
slim.
March, I don't see it. I'm gonna be, and, you know, I will do whatever in my power.
Do you
Now,
know-
whether this league, because they are an adult league, will be able to still play, most of their games are at night though. But when it's in the middle, toward the middle of the summer, it's pretty light out till 8:30. So, based on the fact that if there's not any type of safety concerns,
If they're working on the lights during the day, the thought is at 5 o'clock, they might be able to go play their softball game until it gets dark.
right, so can we operate like that? That's.
Because how long, once they start doing it, does it take
It
them a
all
couple
depends.
weeks?
See, the problem that we ran into with Maplewood was they had multiple jobs going at the same time. ARPA money was everywhere.
Yeah.
So these contractors had a ton of work. He was doing work in the school department, he was doing work here. So they jumped all over. And if they were in a situation where they couldn't leave one, then this job went
Right.
stagnant for a couple of weeks.
And
We're
then there
hoping
was
that
al-
that doesn't happen.
And then there was also the situation that we had to get Mr. Martins and everything involved, that we had to take some of the trees down at Maplewood, because then we found out the trees were gonna be in the way. That was our biggest thing, if some of them limbs are gonna stop falling, you're gonna
You
take
don't want to hit
down,
the lights.
breaking brand new lights, taking down when these trees fall down, so we just made the decision to.
So
to
hopefully
remove
by the
trees.
April meeting, I may be able to tell you whether those specs are intact
Right.
and ready to go. But I will tell you that we got this project January, and we really did due diligence to, and the transformer that is also involved will be addressed in this lighting project, because it's gonna be removed.
Because I guess that would be one of my questions is
Yeah.
once they start work, now is that field
Out of commission.
unusable until it's done?
And that's a valid question, because at this point, where do we put that leak?
Right. They're not going to be happy if they can't
No.
play.
No, but that's kind of,
No, but then it's a balancing act because then it might be, okay, well then do you just wait until September or, can you do it, let them
Yeah,
play
yeah, I
through the
mean,
summer
but
and
Well,
get
I know
everything
everybody
teed
wants
up?
to get it
I
done,
don't know.
but-
Yeah, because they do have a fall league that goes
Yeah.
up until November. So we can't then,
I think,
Push it
we have to,
again.
once we know the
Yeah.
particulars, we gotta bring the league into it and go, okay, this is where we're at, this is what we got. What's the
Right.
best case scenario for you? And I think we just gotta keep them informed and keep
Yep.
them involved and, let them be part of the decision-making.
because they might just have to adjust their schedules and everything.
Yeah. Hey, it's going to take 2 weeks to do it. Can you
Oh,
give
I
us,
think it takes longer than
Yeah,
that.
it's gonna be longer than 2 weeks.
Okay.
Yeah, it does take a little bit.
It's big, it's probably, you're talking maybe about 6 to 7 weeks or more.
Okay. More than I would have thought.
Yeah, no.
Listen,
And
I
'cause-
mean, like I said, depending on what we had to put Maplewood out.
It's a good problem to have.
Yeah.
That
we
they're
had to put
getting new
Maplewood-
lights. You
We had
got
to
to,
put Maplewood out twice because the bids came in way out of whack. And the other thing was, the other holdup with it is, at this point, I had to go back to the CPC for money for Maplewood because the time had passed and we
Right.
had gotten a certain amount of money
Mhm.
and the bids came in and we needed more money.
Yep.
So that was another thing. And when you go to the CPC for more money, the CPC can say you have more money, but then the CPC has to go to the council
Yep.
to get you more money. So all those things,
right.
And the other
this
thing
one's
too is,
meeting, that one's meeting, whatever. So, but listen, I'm doing my best to keep this project moving.
Yep.
And I will definitely update you as far as if I know anything more at that April meeting. But right now, I can tell you the borings are going to be done before the end of March, and hopefully, once they get that boring information to insert into the specification, then the specification will be able to go out. Once I don't wanna buy the lights
Right.
before I have, and I've said this before,
Right.
before I have that contract, because I don't want them holding us over a
Yeah.
barrel with $200,000 or $300,000 of lights, cause then they go, well, they gotta get them in, they're gonna pay.
Right.
I don't
Yeah.
want that.
And the other thing too is, when, this contract was, put over to Mr. Smith to handle is, I reached out to Mr. Furlan from the utilities, water department and everything, because if you remember, a few years back, they spent millions of dollars to do Globe Corners, because Cook Pond runs
Right.
under Shoe Park, runs along that sidewalk area. So he is gonna be involved too with his blueprints and everything, the piping that goes through that area and that, because I don't want no situations that we're gonna run, because we did have a piping area that ran through Maplewood. And so we got him involved at the time too, so we do our due diligence. I don't think Mr. Martins has to be there, because I don't think there's trees in, Father,
No, there's none
Father
of that
Kelly
in
and
there.
everything, so, but, I remember when we went out there with the architect to do the walkthrough, it was myself, Ms. Smith, Mr. Demmead, and that, Mr. Olivera wasn't here at the time, and then, Mr. Furlan, everybody, we did the walkthrough and everything, so we'll probably be end up doing the same thing, to make sure that everything, all our Ts are crossed and our Is are dotted.
Rodney did say he reached out to Mr. Furlan, so.
So I guess that, long-winded, I just think for the next meeting, whatever, in addition to the light project, any other projects that are going on, if we could just get a couple bullet points as to where they stand.
Yep.
That's my suggestion and motion to approve
Yep.
that, request.
Second.
Okay, motion was made by Commissioner McDonald, seconded by Commissioner Rego. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Item O is equipment procurement / current capital projects.
I had asked Nancy this too, just as a follow-up from our joint meeting with the city council.
Yep.
Where they said, you really need to ask for all of these things, and they kind of put us on the spot with asking for things.
Yep.
I noticed in some of the stuff that we had that the Parks Department has asked for things, they've been allocated, but there's a couple things that haven't been fully procured yet, and the Parks Department doesn't have them. So I just wanted to maybe make a request to see if and when those were gonna happen, because we were kind of put on the hot seat a couple weeks ago for that. So just, if we could get a request for where those couple items stand, that's really all I was getting at with that.
Ms. Smith, do you know anything? Any
Well,
updates?
I have heard that training for the person in DCM is going to be mid-March, so that should be any week now. If not, I believe Mr. Olivera said he would procure those items all together, like all the vehicles that I had spoken about, because we usually procure with DCM. So I can reach out and find out if they can give us a timeline of when I can just send an email and just say, do you have any timeline of when the equipment would be procured? And get that information back to the board.
They asked you to resubmit your budget. Did you resubmit it?
Yes.
Did you you increased it?
I resubmitted the budget. In the budget, I put three more laborers positions, because they said, if you don't ask, you don't get, but we'll see. It's gonna be very interesting to see, because I've asked them before. I did put in $300,000 for repairs and maintenance in the park. I put in $250,000 for the study that the Councilor Kadim has asked for a number of times. And I've increased, I think, 4 of my accounts by like $5,000. Electricity, simply because National Grid sent out something, 3.7% increase based on, the utility increase that they got. Just the cost of materials for anything to be done, vehicles, park repairs, whatever. So those were very minor. And I think in the CSO, I kind of averaged out the years and came up with like a $10,000 increase for the water and sewer fees. What they do at this point is kind of out of my hands, but I did put in increases and for work to be done and for the study that they've asked for. At this point, the board and myself can do nothing more than that and present it to the
It's-
financial team and see
yep.
what happens.
It's in their hands now.
But I did. The very next day, I sent a request to say, can I, based on the conversations of the council meeting last night, the board would like to resubmit
Yep.
a
And I
few
know
items. So I did do that, yes.
she always keeps me in the loop, so that way I know you guys are part of the park board, email and everything, so I know she did submit that. And,
Yeah, and I just, like I said, wanted to, because if they were already approved last year, then maybe we don't need to submit them this year. So like, if we can just clear up some of that,
Right, what-
moving into the next budget, was really why I asked that question.
Right, I did not submit again for the same items, because I did have a meeting after that council meeting when I said, I had sent an email asking, what do I actually have from ARPA funding, because I have two different amounts. I don't even know if I said this that night or whatever, I had two different sheets with two different amounts. And it was determined that we got $144,255 in ARPA funding. That would fund one crew cab truck, one Kubota, and they wanted to try, they put in that, instead of the Hustlers, they took the Hustlers out and put 2 battery-operated mowers. I did question, will these batteries last an 8-hour period? I was told, yes, they would. The batteries are warranted for the life of the machine. So I'm like, far be it for me to stop going green, let's try it. So that's in there. So what's in that 144,000 is a Kubota, a crew cab, and 2 of those battery mowers.
But those are in this budget,
That's supposed to be procured.
right? That you don't have those yet.
I don't have those yet.
And that's really was my question on the equipment.
Right, in next year's budget, I have a dump truck. And I also put in like a F-250. I'll take a smaller truck if they don't wanna give me the F-250. I'll take less money in a smaller truck, but I did put in a second truck after that meeting. So, those are things, like I said, that we did our due diligence, we heard what the council said, we changed what, at their suggestion, you don't ask, you don't get. We've now asked.
let me ask you a question, because I know it's happened over the last few years. Do you put in any extra money for like events, for overtime and budget and everything else? Because when we need bathrooms open and these guys have to come in to,
I'm
for
gonna
all
be
these events
100%
and that.
honest with you, 9 out of 10, this last time, they used those bathrooms from DCM, the trailer bathrooms.
Okay.
And they were the ones that incurred the overtime without having the additional funding. I usually do fairly well with trying to keep my overtime under wraps, because if the organization asks for the bathroom, they usually have to pay for the worker. That's the condition of them getting the bathrooms.
now, because I know last year's budget, you had asked for it, but then it was taken out, and, because they said, what the statement was, that was, other funding sources would be available in that. I know some of these funding sources, like CDA, CPA, ARPA is running out now. When it's just general maintenance, equipment breaks in that, do we have enough money to handle that if you need to replace something?
I increased one of those by $5,000.
Okay. If a swing or slide, something breaks.
It's called other repairs and maintenance. That's the account, so I did put $5,000 in that particular account.
So I guess the motion that I would make is just to place that on file. I don't think there's really any action, but I wanted to bring it up, and I wanted it on the agenda just as a follow-up from that meeting with the
So do you
council.
want me to see if I can find out when they will actually be procured?
If
Or
you,
email
yeah, I
or
mean,
no?
if you can, find out, I guess that would be good, but it's also, I would think that you'd be a part of, as the budget, you know, you've
Move
submitted, and as you move forward, that's probably part of that conversation as well.
Yep.
You know, this truck is now gonna be up and running for the summer when the parks are busy. It just got procured a little later in the year than it, you know, and it's here and you have it, so maybe that's part of the conversation. I just don't want it to, you know,
Yeah,
fall
and
by
I
the
think
wayside either.
confusion that the council had was, why don't you borrow a truck? Well, my trucks were replacement trucks, not additional trucks.
Yeah, and you can't, your guys are they're moving throughout the city all day with
Yeah.
different parks, so it's hard to,
Yeah, I think we can tackle that as best we can, see what happens and see what comes in this budget. After we see what's in this budget, then we'll be able to weigh out a little bit more what we need again. I think, like you said, normally the procurement would have happened a little bit earlier and
Yep.
these trucks would be in motion, but I'm not even sure when the whole ARPA thing, whether the ARPA money went through with the budget or whether the ARPA money went through in September or October.
Right.
I don't really know.
and to me, it doesn't really matter. It just, if it's part of the conversation of, okay, well, you got a new truck last year,
Yep.
maybe, you know, how many trucks do we need this year? Like, it
Right.
should, those things are part of the or that particular truck is part of the conversation, as is the Kubota and the lawnmowers. They should go together.
Before we go on, can I have Mr. Martins come up here, please? Mr. Martins is our director at the cemeteries and that. So I know you weren't part of this conversation, but do you have all the equipment that you need in this budget?
Yes.
Do you need, you're not missing no trucks or anything like that you might need?
Not at this point. Everything is there that we.
Are you getting one of those electric mowers, or battery-powered mowers?
I don't know about that. It was a conversation a while back. I know he had, they had talked about, doing like a pilot thing with some electric style chainsaws and things like that to that nature, but I'm not sure.
Yeah, you and I were both in a meeting once where they discussed that.
Yes.
And then I think I even said, why don't you get one of us, one for him and one for me? This way, if they don't work out for me and they work out for him, they can at least go to him. But if you get two for me and two for him and they don't work out for either of us, now we got 4 machines that didn't work out.
Right.
So I don't know whether one of these machines that is going in my budget, is it supposed to go to you?
Not that I know of. So maybe you're gonna try them out and see how they go.
And if not, they're
It-
gonna get dumped in the
I
cemetery.
don't know,
Maybe
but
that's how it's gonna go.
that's a
Well, but
possibility.
that wouldn't be a bad thing, because you
Right.
guys are, and this is exactly what I said, their electric, if something happens with that battery-powered mower, it's in the cemetery, it's not on Brayton Avenue.
Yeah, see, a part of that problem with the electric for us is to be able to charge it.
Me
The s-
too.
The electrical service at the cemetery
Me too.
is not,
I asked
I
about
don't
that
know,
as-
I don't know if it's up to par to be able to do that. Not sure.
Yeah, I
Um,
hear you.
So again, that's something that they would have to
We're gonna be
figure out
charging them some
moving
brains.
forward.
And just so that way,
Right.
I know it's been brought up
Yeah.
in that, and like the council and everything mentioned that, I worked in the cemetery many years ago, so I know before parks and cemeteries was put under DCM, is exactly right. You have DCM, they have their fleet of trucks that, they have their own asphalt crew, they have their waste crew, they have, concrete crew, they have all their so they need their equipment. Mr. Martins has his equipment for the cemetery. Ms. Smith has her fleet of vehicles for parks, trails, whatever. So to see, oh, we can borrow, it doesn't work that way.
It's
They
difficult.
each,
'cause We've called each other a million times, can we borrow a truck?
Right.
Myself, cemeteries and DCM, I can tell you on multiple occasions, we've borrowed trucks, but
We don't
It
want
does-
extra trucks sitting around though either, right? So that's part of it, is
Right.
you can't buy extra trucks to
Yep.
sit around, so.
Right.
right, exactly.
It's a
So
balancing
they're-
act
They're
of-
not sitting.
Yeah, no.
No.
no. And like I said, we've done it where they would, you know, work somewhere else and give us their truck for the day, or, you
Right,
know,
we've-
work in the cemetery at Oak Grove and give us their truck for the day. But it's not something that they could do all the time, because they too have to go to
Right.
North Burial or
Right.
whatever, so, I mean, we have, you know, to say, you know, can't you use this guy's truck? Yeah, we can, but not on a permanent basis, because then they don't have an overabundance of vehicles as well, so, I mean, we've addressed it, we've worked within, you know, our department and each other, and we do our best to make things work for everybody by scheduling, you know, you're gonna load this truck for me, then we're gonna
Right.
take, you know, even when it comes to bringing materials to ballparks, I'll be honest with you. We take cemetery trucks, park trucks, we got one guy load, and it's like a convoy
Yeah.
going in and out of that until we get that stuff delivered.
Yep.
So, it's not like we're not
Yep.
trying to make this a group effort to
Right.
get the job done on that particular day. But we gotta make sure that it's a day they don't have a funeral, or they don't, whatever, you know,
Sure.
it's some scheduling to the, but we make it work.
And many years ago, like I said, when I worked there, they've come a long way. They have the vacuum truck and everything, because if you look at Oak Grove, it takes
Sure.
about 4 months to get rid of them leaves. And believe me, we used to have to be.
Probably still picking them up.
We
oh, yeah.
are.
We used to be,
Because it, you know, it goes with the weather too.
Yep.
Yeah.
The
It's
snow,
very-
the rain.
because we used to have DCM come in, when it was Public Works at the time, they'd come in and help us, and some of the Summit Park guys would come over too, if they didn't have nothing going on. And we'd have a packer come in, and we're all in line trying to fill this packer up. And now they have the vacuum truck, and that's a little easier, but it's time consuming. The other
Not only
day,
that, if
I
the leaves
seen.
are wet, it gets
Yeah.
all clogged, if the.
Right.
I actually
it's a
seen
whole-
Mr.
it's never an
Martins, I
ideal
seen Mr. Martins a
situation.
couple of weeks ago. He was actually plowing them with a plow, plowing them into a pile, because that's how much leaves they are.
Don't tell our secrets.
Yeah, well,
That's a shop secret.
yeah, well.
No.
So I would just make a motion to place that on file.
Yep.
Just that we had the conversation, we revisit it, we heard our,
Yep, from our directors.
Yeah.
from, you know, the follow-up from the council meeting, and
Yep.
we checked on it, and just the motion would be to place on file.
Motion second.
All right, motion to,
I mean, second, he made the-
Commissioner McDonald made that motion, seconded by Commissioner Regal. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay. Commissioner inquiries. Any commissioner inquiries? Thank you, Ms. Martin.
I think we inquired.
I don't have that.
Okay. All right, so I just want to wish everybody a happy St. Patrick's Day and a happy Easter to the public and everybody and
I
the
will let
board
the
members.
board know
and-
that
Back to Easter.
tomorrow.
Will we be back, Easter?
No, it's the
No,
last day of March.
Easter is in this month,
I do have a meeting tomorrow
in-
at 10:30.
in March. It's in March. this
Easter?
year. In March, yes.
Yeah,
this-
it comes Easter.
Oh, my God.
Joey,
Oh.
just so the board knows, tomorrow I do have a meeting at 10:30 about my budget. So
Okay.
if it did get me to the table anyway, we got in trouble, but it did get me to the table. So we'll see tomorrow. I may have a better idea of
All
what.
right.
I might not know what they're leaving in or taking out at that point, but at least we're having a discussion about it,
Okay.
just so the board knows. I don't want that, you know, that I didn't tell the board that there is a meeting scheduled for me to go to tomorrow at 10:30 regarding budgets.
And I just want to reassure to everyone here, the leagues, anybody that's, you have until March 15th, which is next week, to get all your rosters, your league, team, the paperwork that you need for your leagues to get it in. So Ms. Smith has dual time to get this, so we can get this all approved for our next meeting. If not, it's going to hold you guys up. So. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Commissioner Regal made that motion. Do I have a
Second.
second? Seconded by Commissioner McDonald. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you, guys.